Hello, hello rumblers. Welcome to Wallaby Wonders Rue Sanctuary, and there's a slight chance this could be posted on YouTube. So if that happens, welcome YouTubers. This will be the first video on a new channel for you. I'm not even sure what the channel will be called yet, but if I happen to post this on YouTube, welcome. For those of you who are familiar, you know the drill. You might want to put on the kettle because this could be a long reading. You might want to watch it in two parts. We're not sure. See how we go. Could be good for background noise while you do work, something like that. That's what I tend to do. I actually watch a lot of readers myself. I really, really enjoy watching readers. There's a lot of fantastic readers out there. It's a really nice way of spending the day when you're working, having someone giving you a bit of encouragement and some perspective on your situation. Now, of course, this reading may not apply to everyone. Of course, it's not going to apply to anyone. You'll know if it applies to you because it'll seem to fit and it will catch your attention. And if it's not meant for you, that's fine. You will know. You just find another video. No harm done there. Don't try to make it fit. So, like to call in the sage, the cosmic helpers, all benevolent and good forces in the universe, the cosmos, working for our highest good, for the highest good of the viewer, for myself, for the entire collective of the cosmos. I'll just get straight into it, shall I? I did pull one card already from the Elemental Oracle just to give me a sort of vibe about what this reading might be about, and I got pressure, which when I read the description in the book here, seemed to relate very much to our last reading. In our last reading, we were talking about needing to navigate situations not just in a two-dimensional way, but in a multi-dimensional way. We were actually talking about being in a spiritual cockpit of a plane, and that there were lots of different measurements on the dash, and it's not just a matter of staying to the left or the right of the highway, but you actually might be doing loop-de-loops and complicated maneuvers, and you need a whole set of readouts on your dashboard. So the pressure one talked about barometric pressure and air pressure and possible pressure within inside your own body, like your blood pressure, and how pressure can be helpful or not helpful depending on the amount of it and the timing of it. So there was a lot of different examples of how pressure was relevant, like in the Earth's crust and for seismic shifts and things like that. And it was just also talking about pressure in your career or your work. You know, a certain amount of pressure gets things done, but too much pressure might cause something to break. So that's the first card. And I cleared the decks and everything before I started reading, and the sage wanted just to concentrate on these two books today. Language of the Lines by Nigel Richmond, and the I Ching, the Oracle of the Cosmic Way by Carol K. Anthony and Hannah Moog. Now, I don't think we'll be reading the whole of each hexagram, but we'll be using them as a guide. And when the sage said that I was to use this book today, I knew we were in for a pretty serious reading, because this is one of the more complex I Ching books I have, and it's much deeper than our usual reading, which often deals with a lot of 3D stuff. This is a lot to do with deprogramming things that are getting in the way or helping you to understand the true nature of things. So I'm very interested as to why the sage has led us to this. So while your kettle boils or you're getting comfy or whatever, I will throw some coins for us. Dear Sage, what would you like the collective to know who's watching the reading? I just dropped a coin on the floor already. All right. What would you like the collective to know, Sage, who's watching the reading? What is it the collective needs to be aware of moving forward? This is a general reading, so like I said before, won't be for everyone, but it's definitely coming out for someone. It always comes out for someone, and you'll know if it's you because the information will be helpful. Okay, so far I've got 2 yang lines, 3 yang lines unmoving. Okay. Now I've got a yin line unmoving. And another unmoving yin line. One more to go. And now we have a yang line unmoving. So we have hexagram. Just show it to you what we've got here. Can you see that? Yeah. That's hexagram 26, which is taming power of the great. Although it has different names and different interpretations. Okay. Well, that's pretty exciting. And I can see already how pressure ties in with that. Because taming power of the great actually speaks of a high pressure situation that has high potential. So it's like pressure, but for a very good reason. I'll just ask the sage. Sage, is there another hexagram that goes with this? No. Okay, so maybe it won't be too complicated. We don't have any moving lines today. We just have this one hexagram. 26. Okay. So we'll do the easy bit first. This one's almost poetic, this interpretation. Well, it is quite poetic, I'll say. It's not almost poetic, it's quite poetic. I'm streaming at the moment from royalty-free vibes. It's one of the best channels I've actually found for background music. It's on Rumble. A lot of them say they don't have ads, but they really do have ads. And it's just nice mellow music. Okay, so what does it call it here? It doesn't actually give it a name. Trigram. Oh, the flow in the channel. Okay, so Nigel Richmond calls it the flow in the channel. So pattern. Great actions achieve their purpose. Outer obeys inner, becoming quiet and still. Life force unfolds in evolution of form. The peak of form is order. He is inspired, works all day outside, discovering the form of things he thinks he has made. In the evening he sits on the mountain. Form, the pipe through which water flows. Okay, so let's see, in a more traditional interpretation, it's like there's a treasure stored in the mountain. And in the way that we've thrown this hexagram, it's got no moving lines. So there's like this massive potential just in the mountain. It's like a treasure in a cave in the bottom of the mountain. But it implies just a situation that you have something that is of great worth. Now that something could be a physical thing, like an actual treasure. It could be the treasure that you have within you, like a skill or a gift that you have that you can share. It's saying it is very valuable. But there's also a lot of pressure and energy in this situation. There's 3 yang lines at the bottom, and because the energy moves up through the hexagram, it's got this upward motion of these 3 yang lines, and there's only one at the top sort of restraining it. So there is quite a bit of pressure moving upwards. And so it's a matter of harnessing that energy in a way that so it works for you and not against you. Let's put it that way. It's like having a really big car. Say you've got a V8 or something like that. You've got a lot of power under the bonnet. It's a lot about power. You've got a lot of power. So with great power comes great responsibility, that sort of thing. And you need, say for example, if you had the 8-cylinder car, is that what they call? 8 cylinders. So you've got a lot of power under the bonnet. You barely need to press the accelerator down to go somewhere quite fast. So it's sort of like being aware of your own power, that you don't overdo it, that you're being aware of your own strength. And so, naturally, if you've got a car with a lot of forward powerful motion, you're going to need good brakes, you're going to need good steering. Like, everything has to match with the power that you have so that it can be working for you, so it can be harnessed. Because obviously, if you don't know how to drive and you let a kid drive a 8-cylinder car, they're just going to crash it really quickly and create a lot of damage. So it's a lot about discipline, how you harness your energy, moving forward at a nice steady rate, not holding yourself back too much, but also not being like a bull in a china shop, shall we say. So that's kind of a more traditional interpretation. Now we'll go to the Carol Anthony one. So this is about you. So if you've got a lot of great power, you've got a lot of great potential, and you've got something that's of great value. But there's also inherent risks contained with all of that. And because we're getting the hexagram with no moving lines, it's indicating that this situation goes on for a while, or it's something to be aware of for a while. Like, it's not moving in the immediate future. Okay, so in the Carol Anthony and Hannah Moog book, The Oracle of the Cosmic Way, it's called The Taming Power of the Great, Success Through the Great. The judgment is, being firm and correct furthers. Not eating at home brings misfortune. It furthers one to cross the great water. So it says, in this hexagram, the sage shows us how to successfully counter the ego in another, or to respond to incorrect treatment coming from a group ego. Okay, so this is a different interpretation, because it's just deeper. It talks about thought patterns and things that need to be dealt with, and people's attitudes and social structures and things like that. Rather than just adapting to the social structure, this book will often have you questioning the social structure, for example. So how to successfully counter the group ego in another, or respond to incorrect treatment coming from a group ego. So that's a group of people treating you badly, basically. Incorrect treatment is defined as treatment that is oppressive, encroaching, arrogant, interfering, or self-righteous. Success through the great refers to the person who upon being treated unjustly restrains his anger, says the inner no, and who turns the matter over to the cosmos. So it's not retaliating. It's not making plans to get them or anything like that. You're going to let the cosmos handle it. You're going to say the inner no within yourself that this is not acceptable to me, and call judgment on the situation from the cosmos and hand it over. Let the cosmos sort it out for you. This is the meaning of being firm and correct. In this way, his anger is transformed into a different form of energy that allows the cosmos to correct the situation through him. The transformed energy is released by the sage at exactly the moment when it has the correct effect on the situation. How it is expressed happens spontaneously without any effort or intention on the person's part. And I like that. It's like often it's to do with timing. Like the other person has to be ready to see the truth of the situation, and certain things may need to happen in their life before they're ready to see that. And the other bit about the correction happens spontaneously without any effort or intention on the person's part, which ties into sincerity, which is a large part of following the I Ching path, is to be uncontrived and sincere. So, and, not pushing and shoving and trying to make things happen, because that's against the cosmic law, trying to force things to happen that aren't ready to happen. I mean, I certainly know what it is to want other people to see the truth of an injustice and they just don't get it, and how frustrating that is. It's enough to tear your hair out sometimes. But the cosmos, the sage, through the I Ching, is assuring us that if we can hand our anger over, that for the cosmos, for the sage to correct, it'll transform the situation, and the correction of the other people involved in the situation. Excuse me, I've got hiccups for some reason. Without any effort or intention on the person's part, without any intention on your part or my part. So it says, a person may receive this hexagram, for example, when he is being bullied by someone. And how relevant this is, if you're familiar at all with the phenomenon that's happening around the world at the moment, where there's a whole stack of people who just basically survived being sacrificed, being human sacrifices in 2024, this year, that we're just leaving, thank goodness. What a tough year. There's a whole bunch of people who have been group bullied. Like, it happened to me, but I was so surprised to find out that I was just one of 144,000 at least who are having a similar experience, where groups of people were basically trying to steal the person's rightful gifts given to them by the cosmos, trying to gang up on a person to silence them about speaking out about certain truths, or to dim their light and compete with them. Or a whole bunch of people just had really extreme situations this year. Like, I've been reading about them in the comment sections of tarot readers. It's a phenomena. It's happening. Many people have survived some sort of whether it's just they're being thrown under the bus in business, or something much more sinister, like being isolated and excommunicated and ostracized because they spoke an inconvenient truth to some powerful, that threatened some powerful person in the group or something like that. It has happened to a lot of people this year. So if you are still alive and you've survived that, congratulations. I'm sorry you've had a really awful, well, at least really very difficult and unpleasant times, potentially heartbreaking and just befuddling this year. So congratulations on surviving, and I'm so happy you're here with us. You're obviously meant to survive, and they were obviously going after you because you have something of great value. You have a great potential, a great treasure, a great gift, a great calling in this life. That's why they went after you. They're not interested in a whole group of people doesn't gang up against someone who is not a threat to the status quo, basically. And if the status quo was in goodness and transparency and love and all of that, then they wouldn't feel the need to gang up to anyone. So if you got a group of bullies ganging up against you, you're probably telling the truth about something that's really not that good for the person in power there. I mean, if it was just nonsense, they probably wouldn't feel the need to gang up against you like that. Okay, so yes, where were we? Congratulations to all the survivors out there. Well done. Only another survivor will know what you've been through. So we're glad to have you with us. You did well. So, for all you people who have been bullied by someone this year, potentially a whole group or several groups of people, this is for you. If he endures this behaviour, the bully may only try harder to annoy him and therefore engage the ego in him. The solution lies in saying the inner no, or, if appropriate, an outer no, to let the bully know in a straightforward way that his behaviour is unacceptable and incorrect. If he keeps the ego from becoming involved and asks the cosmos for help, everything will then be furthered. Okay, so when you're saying the no, try and not get emotionally engaged. I've made this mistake myself, so it's easier said than done. When you are being bullied, try your best to stay calm when saying no, calm and firm, so that if they get you all riled up, then it's less effective than if you're able to say it calmly and firmly. That won't always be easy, but it's the best thing you can do if you can manage it. And of course, when you're being bullied is when it's hardest to manage, but do your best. Okay, so let the bully know in a straightforward way that this behaviour is unacceptable and incorrect. If he or she keeps the ego from becoming involved and asks the cosmos for help, everything will then be furthered. Another example is the envious testing a person may experience from others upon freeing himself from the dependence of the collective ego. So suddenly you're not restrained by an idea or by needing to relate to these people or sharing the ideas that they have, and that can freak them out and they begin testing you. Excuse me. This testing is done to see if he can be driven to defend himself. It succeeds only if he allows himself to become angry. Again, the answer is to say the inner no to the testing and turn the matter over to the cosmos. Oh, I've got a frog in my throat. It furthers one to cross the great water, refers to a person's engaging the helper of transformation to bring about the correction. So, as this book explains, you have cosmic helpers, and one of them is the helper of transformation. And a transformation is different than a change, because change can change back, but a transformation is it's changed forever. So it's a done thing. When something is transformed, it can't go back to how it was before. Whereas changing, people can flip-flop. So that's why it's great to have the helper of transformation helping you out. So the helper of transformation to bring about the correction. This helper is always engaged through saying the inner no and turning the matter over to the cosmos. So until you do that, basically the helper can't come to your help, because you've got to give it permission, basically. You've got to ask for help. Like, there are certain laws in the universe where your cosmic helpers can't force things upon you. You actually have to ask for their help a lot of the time. You don't have to know particular names or the right way to say it, but because the cosmos understands your heart and your energy and signature, your intentions and your true thoughts. So it's not about the formality of it, but it's about being sincere. So when the cosmos can feel you sincerely asking for a particular kind of help, then it's allowed to give that help to you. So turning the matter over to the cosmos is another way of doing that, saying, well, I don't know what to do with it, you sort it out. Right? And that engages the helper of transformation. The taming power of the great, the traditional name of this hexagram, refers to the conditioning process carried out by the collective ego. And once again, the collective ego is like a group of people. Just operating out of their programming rather than out of their true selves. Another example of the collective ego might be an institution, like a government or a business or something like that, a church, a community, a soccer club. Could be any of these things. A rock and roll band, it could be anything, but it's where it's like a group has developed its own kind of identity or egregore or something. Okay. The taming power of the great, the traditional name of this hexagram, refers to the conditioning process, so how they train you to behave like they want you to behave, carried out by the collective ego through threats and punishments. This hexagram is an extension of hexagram number 9, the taming power of the small, where the taming is done by more subtle means of flattery and reward. The purpose of all taming is twofold. 1, to deprive the person, that's you, during childhood of his natural defense, which consists in his ability to say both the inner and the outer no. So the first thing they teach you is that you're not allowed to say no, whether it's implicitly implied that you're not allowed to say no or they outright just tell you to obey. They tell you, that you have to go along with their rules, their ideas, their ideology, whatever it is. Without question. So that's the first step. And number 2, to appropriate his cosmic virtues and turn them into social virtues in order to tie him to the collective ego and its institutions. In the first case, the taming is done by threats and punishments during times when the child correctly says no to unjust treatment. In the second case, the taming is done first by denying that the child possesses cosmic virtues such as honesty, loyalty to his inner truth and kindness, and then telling him that he needs to develop these virtues. See, it's a sleight of hand trick, or it's a psychological trick to say that you don't already have something and you need to develop it, when you actually do possess it quite innately. It's part of your DNA, your cosmic blueprint. Like we are naturally born with qualities such as honesty, loyalty and kindness. But we're told that we need to learn them. And rather than doing it the natural way that we instinctively know, we're told to do it in a way that is acceptable to society or the collective ego. To legitimize this taming process, his animal nature is described as being the source of evil in the world and making him lose confidence in his cosmic virtues. His natural honesty, for example, is contorted into saying what is socially correct. His natural loyalty to his inner truth is turned into a loyalty to the institutions of the collective ego, and his natural kindness is converted into a non-discriminatory kindness that he's supposed to show everyone. You can see how this is, messes people up. If you have to pretend to be kind to someone that your instincts are telling you not to be. I mean, children are great judges of character. Like animals are great judges of character. And then they're taught to override their feelings. When usually they're picking up on energies that the parents have sort of been trained to ignore because of, some social conditioning. The statements, threats and punishments that are used to condition the child create doubts and fears in his psyche that disable his various natural abilities. Among the threats that create such fears are the commandments, "You must," that threaten horrible punishments extending to eternal suffering after death. These statements and threats, invariably connected with spells and poison arrows, remain in the person's psyche long after childhood. So it's talking about how some conditioning that you got in childhood might still be affecting you now because your mother or your dad or your uncle or someone said, no, don't do that, or you can't do that, or this is the way it is, or if you do this, you'll go to hell, or something like that. You'll be damned to hell, like religious conditioning. That could still be affecting your decisions now, however many years down the track. You need to examine each of the ideas that has been told to you and see if it's really true or not. Be like still believing in the tooth fairy when you're 50 or something. But society does that to us with certain ideas. They tell you things that are absolute lies, like that you need to eat animals for protein. That's a classic lie that people believe. It's not actually true. But you're told it since your childhood, and so when you're told, somebody presents you with a new idea, you're unable to hear it because you've this conditioning that you were taught in your childhood that was in fact a lie. So each of the ideas that we've been given about our socializing and, just the way the world is, needs to be questioned individually to see if it's affecting our life now in a way that's adverse. Okay, where were we? These statements and threats, invariably connected with spells and poison arrows, remain in the person's psyche long after childhood until the day they are removed through deprogramming or despelling. And it's got a little asterisk there and takes us to this footnote here. Medical researchers have shown that such fears are stored in the amygdala of the brain and in the form of certain proteins. These proteins become activated whenever circumstances occur that are similar to the situation which the trauma originally occurred, freezing the ability person's ability to respond effectively, in this case to say the inner no. So, yeah, you could be being triggered by a childhood fear, or somebody else in the situation could be triggered by a childhood fear that's making them act in a way that's not quite relevant to the situation, because they're reacting to something that's a fear from the past. Okay, so you've got to deprogram or dispel these ideas that aren't true. They make the person doubt his original goodness and his natural capacity to get along in life. See page, yep. So, okay. A further effect of these fears is to transfer the person's chi energy to the collective ego and those who represent it, endowing them with power. So, handing your power and your energy over to someone else, whether it be a person in particular or an institution or an authority, inverted commas. So it's basically saying you've got to learn to trust your own capacity to get along in life and your own inner truth, and not just give your chi energy away hey willy-nilly. Since these spells and poison arrows also block the flow of chi energy to various parts of the body, especially those parts to which punishments have been applied, these parts are unable to get their needed chi nourishment. They are, so to speak, unable to eat at home, which brings misfortune in the form of ailments, illness, or exhaustion. Not eating at home can refer to a situation in which a person is not able to get his chi nourishment in his present relationship because there is no true inner connection between the partners. When this is the case, withdrawing from intimacy with the partner is the correct response. Not eating at home can also point to a person's being blocked from the receiving chi energy directly from the cosmos. To compensate, he overeats. This indicates that he is under a spell which may consist of negative self-assessments such as, I'm not lovable, or not even the cosmos could love a person like me, or it may consist of self-punishing or self-blaming phrases such as, I don't deserve anything good. So, any of those phrases ringing a bell, or something of a similar energy signature? Like, it may not be the exact same words, but have the same meaning, I'm not lovable, or nobody loves me, or even God couldn't love me because I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve anything good. All this kind of basically negative self-talk, right? When you give yourself that negative self-talk, you're actually blocking the chi energy from coming from the cosmos to you. And then because you feel like you haven't got enough chi, you start overeating, or it could be any other bad habit too, That's just an example, overeating. It might be something else you're doing to compensate, to make yourself feel better because you don't have enough chi. All right, now I might just look at that page 546 because it suggests checking it out, because there might be some spells there that need to be looked at. Whew, it's hot in here. It's actually 4 o'clock in the morning here, and it's still really warm. So, page 546. We'll just look at see if any of these spells are relevant. Because if even just deprogramming one or two of these can actually make a huge difference in your life. Now, I'll just show you this book again because this is one of the most amazing books I've ever come across. Can you see that there? I highly recommend this book. Now, obviously, you would get much more out of it if you had it yourself and you could really look deeply into the deprogramming and despelling procedures and everything, and take your time and check with the coins which ones are relevant to you. But because we're doing it for a collective here, we'll just read a few of them and you can get the vibe anyway. Okay. What are projection spells and poison arrows? So, we'll just read this section because it seems to be relevant to the issue at hand. Whew. It is so warm in here. It's unbelievable. Whew. Projection spells and poison arrows consist of phrases and images that are not in harmony with the cosmos. They bring harm not only to the person who receives them, but also to the sender. They differ in specific ways as follows. Projections, consists of imps or demons that are projected into the person's psyche through negative thoughts or spoken words. The person can also put them on himself. So, like we were just saying before, negative self-talk, just limiting your, taking the part of Debbie Downer in your own mind, kind of thing, right? So the person can even put them on himself. They cause headaches or compel a person to say something he does not believe simply because someone has imagined him to have those kind of thoughts. Mutual projections occur frequently to relationships. Projections coming from a third party can cause sudden arguments in relationships. To find such hidden sources of disharmony, it is essential to ask through the RTCM whether any projections are coming from without. Now, I'll just tell you what the RTCM is in a condensed way. It's basically getting 3 coins. It stands for retrospective coin throwing method. So you ask the questions and you get your 3 coins, and heads is yes and tails is no. So 3 heads is a strong yes and 3 tails is a strong no. And if it's 2 heads and a tail, then it's like, yeah, but not exactly. And same goes with the no, it's sort of like hot, cold. So you can ask, is this the thing that I need to work on? And you throw the 3 coins and it says yes or no, basically. So that's how you can see what's most relevant to you, because the ones that have, when you throw a coin, so you ask the question and you get 3 yeses, then you're right on the money as to what you need to know. So, projections differ from spells in that they are usually of a temporary nature. Their effect can last only up to about a week. Projections can be thoughts of vengeance or justice, for example. He will pay for having done this to me. Thoughts based on arbitrary wishes. Example, I wish she was here with me now. She would know what to do. Certain phrases that contain the word must. You must obey your parents, for example. So these are all unhelpful, right? These ideas that he will pay for having done this to me, or I wish she was here with me now, she would know what to do. Certain phrases that contain the word must. Common sayings can act as projections. Example, you never know. Because actually you might know. You might know quite often. So it's like just these things that you say all the time are actually hindering your ability to tap into your own wisdom when you say things like that. Such phrases project a doubt upon the situation that opens the door to unwanted elements, such as making a person take precautions to defend or protect himself rather than inquiring about the inner truth of the situation. Certain phrases that have shoulds in them. So are you shoulding all over yourself? I've been guilty of that. That's a classic one for me. Should do this, I should do that. Try could. It's much more empowering. So certain phrases that have shoulds in them. The projection gets renewed every time a person thinks the phrase. Example, I should not drink coffee, implying that coffee is bad for my health. This is a projection the person puts on himself and on the coffee, with the effect that he cannot enjoy coffee anymore. Like, so if you're going to do it, don't feel bad about it. Don't put negative projections on it. So the effect that he cannot enjoy the coffee anymore. The effects of this projection are A, that it creates guilt in himself whenever he drinks it, and B, that he demonizes the consciousness of the coffee. These negative effects can be undone if he removes his projection as indicated below. Projections by manufacturers put on foods and drinks and on the consumers. They are caused by egotistical desires to get consumers addicted to the product or to give the product the appearance of being special, top rank, etc. Such projections add a demonic element to the product that can cause headache or digestive problems. These problems disappear after removing the projection. One needs to identify the intention that was projected onto the food or drink. This is gratitude water. Thank you, Lord, for the water of life. Projections put on foods or drinks and their consumers through genetically altered ingredients. Such projections can cause a headache or digestive problems, all of which disappear after deprogramming the projection. As in the previous paragraph, one needs to identify the intention that was projected onto the product and the fear behind it, such as not getting enough market share. So that's a fear that might be behind projecting a certain image on a product. So I think if you have that quiet confidence, you don't need to exaggerate and, put over bold claims on your food or whatever it is, your product. Okay, now we're on to spells. Spells can consist of a single word that has no cosmic basis or one of more phases. Self-images can also be spells. A spell is always accompanied by ego emotions. Spells have the effect of fixing a person or parts of his personality through words and phrases. The consequences can be compulsive or other neurotic patterns of behavior that prevent a person from developing his uniqueness. Spells can also create a fate for the person in the form of illness that can even lead to death. My goodness, well, we don't want that, do we? Two spells, which are the basis of other spells, are created by the ideas. Okay, so there's two very important ideas here that need to be deprogrammed for you to access the treasure and your gifts. So you need to deprogram these spells that in and of ourselves we are born inadequate to deal with life. So you need to know that you are adequate. You're more than enough to deal with whatever, and the universe will help come to your aid to help you with whatever you need help with. But you fundamentally are enough. So the spell that needs to be deprogrammed is In and of ourselves, we are inadequate to deal with life, and therefore must look to the social fabric around us for our needs, because that is all there is. This idea represses our feeling of connectedness with the cosmic consciousness into a sphere of consciousness called the subconscious. So that you need to deprogram ideas like that about being inadequate, or that this is all there is. So if you go, is this all there is? Then this is all there is? Like, no, it's not. It's not all there is. There's always more. Okay? So, and also deprogram that our animal nature is the source of evil in the world, and that because we have it, we are born with an inextinguishable sin or guilt. Spells can fall into the following two categories. Spells consisting of a single word that misidentifies a thing or creates a negative consciousness that is contrary to cosmic harmony. Such a word is guilt. Guilt spells are the most destructive spells because they block the helper of transformation in a person. They also act as door openers to other spells and projections. Another is the word culprit. So just calling someone a culprit is kind of putting a spell on them, or thinking of someone as a culprit. You have to have enough trust to let go of these ideas, because so long as you keep seeing the person in that way and projecting that onto them, it's very hard for them to appear before you as anything else. Even if they are something else, you won't be able to see it. Okay, so spells consisting of one or more seed phrases that assert a thing is this or that way. For example, life is suffering. This phrase puts a spell on the person's life who has accepted the idea. Spells consisting of a self-image. Example, self-images of the wife or the good person, the superior man, etc. locks the person into a behavior demanded by that image. Another example, he, she is a bad, irresponsible, silly, lazy, great, kind-hearted person. Such statements put a fix on the person's nature, causing him to behave in the way defined. It would be correct to say he acted irresponsibly or in a kind way, rather than saying he is that. Say he behaved that way. Okay, so these are all ones that need deprogramming. Do you recognize any of those? Okay, spells created by certain phrases that contain the words always or never. Examples, I never do the right thing. You will never change. I will always love you. Or phrases that generalize a unique experience. It will always be that way. Okay, so these things aren't true. Spells created by associating one thing as intrinsically connected to another, as in hearing loss equals eating sugars, arthritis, eating acidic foods. The spell in this case is put on the sugar or the acidic food. Therefore, the foods in question have the expected effects until the person removes the spell. How are we going here? Recognize any of these? Is any of these affecting your situation? Spells created by deeply ingrained beliefs that give rise to hopes and fears. Once these beliefs have become a part of a person's inner program, they continuously get projected back into reality. Hopes and fears are mentioned together because every phrase that expresses a hope is based on a fear. Example, I hope times will get better. The person needs to seek out the phrase that describes his fear. It may be the phrase, there is nothing one can do but hope for the best. This phrase denies the existence of the helpers of the invisible world. So there's always invisible helpers. to help you. And you don't want to discount their help by denying their existence. Oh. The music's very relaxing. If not deprogram, the fear and not the hope will project itself into reality. Okay, spells connected by certain mistaken ideas, such as the idea that the cosmos is unknowable. Such a phrase puts spells on the person's inner truth and learning helpers and opens the doors to putting all kinds of threatening fantasy projections on the cosmos. Spells created by certain common sayings. Example, you can never get enough. Such a phrase can cause an eating disorder. Spells created by 3 W's. Wishing, wondering and worrying. Example, I wish my son would do better at school, or I wonder why he is not doing better. He may never be successful in life. Another example, the wish to become like or unlike someone else whom one admires or rejects. Example, I want to become like Aunt Grace, or I don't want to become like my father. Such wishes take away a person's uniqueness, in that they connect him or her by likeness with another person. A strong dislike of another person can make one rush to put oneself in the opposite box, with the result of going away from oneself. Same happens when the person likes someone a lot and therefore identifies with him. Okay, and then it goes on to poison arrows, but I'm not going to read the whole book to you. But that gives you, I think, a pretty good indicator of the things that might be holding you back, or from accessing your treasure and gifts, or that somehow are being projected onto this situation that's stopping this, that's helping to create the bullying. Now, if you're not the one with the mistaken ideas, they may be in someone else's head, and that could be affecting the situation. Somebody could be labouring, most likely, usually people are labouring under false beliefs when they think that bullying someone's going to help. Just the idea that bullying someone is going to help is a false belief in itself. So, but there may be other false beliefs that they have that are leading them to behave the way they are towards you, and they need to be deprogrammed before the situation can change, and same goes within ourselves. Okay, I'm going to pull 1 Dragon Fae card to give us a clue, and we'll wrap this reading up. I think that's been quite an intense reading. Don't usually do so much reading in the readings, but that's what the sage wanted to talk about today, and I can see why with bidding goodbye to 2024, the year when so many people were bullied by and gang stalked by groups, tried to their inheritance were attempted to be stolen, or their businesses, their life work, their whatever. A lot of people lost a lot because of bullying this year. So I guess we don't want to go forward into the next year with that same situation. So we need to do our bit in deprogramming what we can on our end, so that the situation is open to the helper of transformation doing their work. I've had this hexagram before, and it's quite magical if you actually do manage to follow the guidance, and how the situation transforms can be so unexpected and so in the twinkle of an eye. Alright, Sage. 1 Dragon Fae card, please, just to help us get another clue on this reading. And I hope you got something from that. It was certainly a good reminder for me. And that all relates to the pressure that you're feeling too. So probably deprogramming some spells within you, or projections that you're putting on the situation or some person or whatever. That's going to help take the pressure to the correct level, where it's not too much pressure and not too little pressure. Okay, so one more card, please. That one doesn't want to come. For the collective watching this video, Sage, please. No, not that one. Which card do we want? Okay. The Guardians. Fly high. Can you see? Yeah. That's what she looks like. Number 40. I think it's just about getting a more bird's eye view on the situation. Yeah, it's just saying to get a higher perspective. Look at the situation from a bird's eye view. And I was actually getting a lot of that last night when I was meditating on the situation, just to try and really zone out and see the situation from way up there, and if you can get any perspective from doing it that way. Try and see the situation as your cosmic helpers see it. You know, if you could try to get outside of yourself and look at yourself from the outside. And that you'll be getting some help from your cosmic helpers to do this. And to have courage to take steps forward. So, and in the divinatory meaning, it says, travel, change of address or circumstance. Be prepared to carry what you feel is Be prepared to carry what you feel is yours forth into the new place that is calling you in the world. A new time, a shedding of your sacred place, skin, a return to an ancient home, a calling to a future self and an answer. Help from powerful companions when it comes to relocating, friendships in faraway places, astral travelling to lands that are sometimes known as fantasy realms, but which are in fact dimensional realities which you have access to. So ask the Dragon Fae to carry you safely there and back. Premonitions, recognition, increase in attention in your career. So yeah, it's like you're moving up. You're definitely moving up, and you're going to be leaving old, tired, worn out situations behind. Yeah, making plans to move forward, packing up and letting go of the old. Reducing the amount of material possessions that no longer speak to you. So, and that is perfect to hear right now, just before New Year's Eve. Good time to clear out all your old stuff you don't need. Do a good cleansing for New Year. Out with the old, in with the new. Becoming a wanderer, a traveller for a time of exile, where you may be unsure of where your home lies. Know that this is a time of the being who migrates and takes flight, who has many lives and homes in this one span of time where you are in your present earth body, which, by the way, is a sacred tool. Use it to fly above what you can see from the ground and gain a higher viewpoint. Think of the dragonfly flying high above, and you will fly further than you have dreamt of. Consider the element of air more often. And then we have air pressure too, which was there was a bit of talk about air pressure in our last reading. with the Snoopy in the cosmic plane. So you need to see the situation from a higher perspective and look at yourself like your angels would see you. I think they would be very proud of what you've gotten through, actually, if you've survived one of these attempted destiny swap rituals or something like that. That's all fairly simple. Is there anything else to say, Sage? No, that's it. That's your reading, collective. So I'll just, I will actually just read the first one again now that you've heard the book, the big complex one, because it's very short. We'll just return back to the beginning. Pattern. Great actions achieve their purpose. Outer obeys inner, becoming quiet and still. Nature. Life force unfolds in evolution of form. The peak is form. The peak of form is order. Human. He is inspired, works all day outside, discovering the form of things he thinks he has made. In the evening, he sits in the mountain. Form, the pipe through which water flows. So that's a reminder to use the pressure, not let the pressure use you. Use your energy, don't let it use you. You're a conduit for many great things. I think we'll leave it here, collective. It's actually a very positive reading. It's just saying, if you hand it over and work on your deprogramming, do your shadow work, stop talking to yourself in a limiting way, and don't let anyone else talk to you like that either. I mean, you may not be able to forcefully stop them, but you can say the inner no. Affirm to the cosmos that that's not the truth. And hand it over and let the cosmos work its miracles. It will find the precise, effortless way to correct your ideas and the ideas of the others in the way that needs to happen to, so that you can access your gifts and your great potential. Have a lovely day. We'll speak to you next time.